Okay, today we're going to talk about counting long notes and rests by subdividing the beat. This is LHS BandRoom, and I'm Bob C. Just to review, we count quarter notes as 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth notes are counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's written there with the plus sign for the word and. And 16th notes are 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. Sometimes that is written as a single letter A, sometimes it's written as AH, it really doesn't matter. Most people are pretty good about counting 8th and 16th patterns once they get the hang of it. It may take a little practice, but most people will do this type of counting when they play. That may be because we think these rhythms are more complicated or more difficult, and so we tend to focus on them more. I mean, something like this really gets your attention. You see this and you are immediately focused and ready to act. That's the same fight or flight reflex that kept your ancestors from being eaten by tigers and bears or other people's ancestors or whatever. Either that or they completely freeze, in which case you can't play the rhythm and they would be somebody's dinner. It's not good. We become less focused when we see rhythms like this. We think these notes are easy, so we stop counting, and so we miss the entrance or we hold the note too long or not long enough. It's kind of like when you're in a comfortable relationship, so you relax and stop paying attention to the other person, you begin to neglect them, the relationship falls apart, and it's just sad. Yeah, rests and long notes are kind of like that. So if we want rests and long notes, and for that matter, relationships to be done right, we have to pay attention to what we're doing. We have to treat these easy rhythms with the same respect that we treat rhythms that we think are more complicated, because they're not really easy rhythms, are they? How many times have you missed an entrance because you weren't counting during a long rest? Or how many times have you missed a cutoff because you weren't counting during a long note? The same thing happens with rests. Actually, it seems to be even worse with rests. People think of a rest as nothing, so they just turn off their brain and sit there. But you have to count even when you're not playing. If you don't count, then you don't know when to come in. And if the first thing you play after you come back in are a pair of 16th notes, especially if it's on the upbeat, then you need to subdivide the beat while you're counting the rests. It's easier to play 16th notes if you're already thinking about 16th notes before you play. 1, 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3 and 4. You don't have to count the notes out loud. That would be a little bit difficult if you're playing clarinet, but you do need to think them in your head. Constantly keep that pulse going. And so here we have 2 half notes followed by 4 groups of 16th notes. We have the E and 2E and in parentheses on the first beat. On beat 3, same thing. So we're thinking those, but we're not articulating it. 1, 2E and 3 and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. Counting the 16th notes while we hold the half note gets us ready to play the 16th notes when we actually have to play each one. So here's what you should remember. First, count and subdivide everything, even long notes and rests when you're not playing. 2, write the count on your music so you can play it correctly later. A short pencil is better than a long memory. 3, use parentheses to show the count on long notes. These are notes that you want to hold through, but you don't want to attack. 4, respect all rhythms, even the ones that look easy or boring. And finally, count and subdivide every time you play. So hopefully this will clear up some of the misunderstandings we have about holding long notes and holding through rests, counting and subdividing the beat. Go find some music that you're working on, write in the count on that music, and get practicing.